Good afternoon. I want to thank Dr. Himmelfarb and the organizing committee for inviting me to speak today. I also want to thank Dr. Murray Sheldon of the FDA for sharing content and the opportunity to speak to you today and for providing the inspiration for the roadmap. We are all aware that dialysis care has not made significant progress since the 1960s. If one considers the progress made in cancer therapy, we can understand we have significant work to do. While there have been some improvements in patient outcomes in the past 2 decades, mostly due to improvements in the management of comorbidities, the quality of life for these patients remains poor, as many patients do not have the energy to continue school or work, and the cost of care continues to skyrocket. Finally, though transplantation is the preferred option for renal replacement therapy, it remains out of reach for many patients, with too few living donors and over 90,000 on the wait list. The gold standard is not dialysis as performed in 1960 or even 2022, but transplantation or better dialysis care. There are many reasons for the lack of innovation, including the single-payer system, lack of technological advances, and a lack of NIH investment. ESKD provides poor quality of life with limited life expectancy and high costs. As can be seen in the figure on the left, all dialysis-related care shown in the red bars exerts high costs and is among the expensive therapies in this country. While we need to develop better products for renal replacement therapy, we need to focus on the people we care for. We need to ask ourselves, what do they want? On this slide, you see pictures of 2 persons. On the left is a picture of Bill Peckham rafting down the Colorado River. He lived 28 years on dialysis and died on January 18th. Ironically, the birthday of Dr. Belding Scribner, a major pioneer of dialysis therapy that we heard about yesterday. Bill inspired us. Now we need to honor his legacy. On the right is Caleb, who is 16 years old and has endured 2 failed kidney transplants and is now back on dialysis. He came to a key meeting stating a need to get new vascular access. What do we say to him? CKD was among the leading causes of death in 2016, and by 2040, it will increase in incidence and prevalence and be a more frequent cause of death. The rates are highest in emerging economies who are seeing changes in eating and lifestyle habits. How can we plan ahead and address the patient's needs? This survey of dialysis patients was aimed to better understand what patients wanted. As you can see by the graphic, they do not want better versions of what is currently available, but the vast majority desire new generation and innovative devices and treatments. It is they, those 72%, and all of them who have experienced the past, are living the present, and can see the future. And interestingly, they are not simply focused on treatments for ESKD, but as you could see in the bar below the top one, 44% prioritize therapies to prevent the onset of ESKD. They know where they came from and what it ends up with, and they're sensitive to that. And finally, as can be seen in the bottom of the figure, the 2 bars show that improvements in current hemodialysis and PD technology are low on their wish list. This slide gives us our charge to not improve the quality of care, but revolutionize it. This picture shows Dr. William Kolff, the father of artificial organs, who was the inventor of the rotating drum seen in the picture on the left, and saved his first life in 1945. He treated the first patient in 1943. Looking back, that original device seems crude, and it was, but forward almost 80 years later, and can we honestly proclaim that we have achieved the advances in dialysis technology that one would have anticipated back in 1943? As we saw in the survey results of current dialysis patients, we need to listen more to our patients and understand what they want. We need to think about our patients like Caleb and patients such as Jennifer and Dawn, who we met yesterday, and those patients should be central to our desire to improve technology. Is an artificial kidney pie in the sky? No. We need to move faster and ensure that science and technology makes greater strides. We need the inspiration. The patient should be our inspiration. There have been some very encouraging innovations over the past decade, as shown on this slide. None of the products shown in this slide have come to the market, and all of this information is that which is publicly available. From the upper left and going counterclockwise, first we see the AWAC device, a wearable PD device, initially designed by Martin Roberts, who we met yesterday in some of the discussions, and we also see a wearable up to 24-hour hemodialysis system right below that. To its right is a decellularized animal kidney scaffold in which the cellular components and genetic materials are removed while maintaining the structural, biochemical, and biomechanical signals, after which the decellularized ECM can be repopulated with the patient's own cells. To its right, we see vascularization, which may be possible with kidney organoids derived from human pluripotent stem cells that have glomerular and tubular-like compartments. The UCSF device, which was described by Dr. Bill Fussell yesterday, who was working with Dr. Shubha Roy on an implantable bioengineered kidney, can be connected to the patient's own vasculature. And finally, the next kidney device that is a small, portable, miniaturized home hemodialysis device that uses regenerate dialysate is the one that Dr. Waringa described yesterday. Finally, not on this slide, yesterday we heard Dr. Hines describe a device for dialysis regeneration. The aims of these devices vary and the technology varies, but prolonged, continuous simplicity and portability are the goals of all of these devices. How do we continue the progress? First, we need to recognize that the path ahead cannot and will not be that which brought us to this point. Innovation requires thinking differently to achieve success. The future, as we saw in the previous slide, will likely require human kidney cells and biologics, often, but not always, combined with devices or devices alone. Innovation will require collaboration and an international consortium. As an example, we can seek inspiration from the Manhattan Project, which was led by Lieutenant General Leslie R. Groves and was designed to develop a nuclear weapon about 80 years ago during World War II. The key points highlighted in the yellow shaded text to make a success of this project are that it needs to be an iterative process, a collaboration, and the understanding and the commitment that it will take many years to complete. To spur us, an executive order signed in 2019 charges us to develop an artificial kidney. In subnotes A and B, the order focuses on patient involvement, the need for various types of devices, collaboration among stakeholders, and of course, innovation. Unlike the bomb that we saw with the Manhattan Project, the goal here is to construct, not destruct. To achieve our goals, we need an international consortium to better provide therapies for our patients. Many nations will need to collaborate and contribute time, effort, and financial resources. Our Northern Star is to provide these products for our patients receiving dialysis and those who will unfortunately develop the ESKD. The products will be developed and built around the world and then distributed through international organizations. Like Dr. Sador said yesterday, we need to think bold and we need to think big. I refer you to this African proverb, which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We can go fast without collaboration, but that path has been what we've been doing before and has not led to great success. We need to reach higher so we can go farther. We need to be disruptive and be ready to make significant changes. Finally, I want to discuss the role of the FDA in fostering innovation. The FDA acknowledges its central role that it needs to play as part of this consortium. Please remember that in doing so, the FDA is not simply a regulatory agency, but a healthcare agency. Regulation is a process to achieve that goal. There are many challenges as seen in the left-hand column, but potential solutions on the right-hand column. We need to think about what patients want and how we can better understand their perspectives. This can be achieved by conducting patient surveys and by other methods. How do we incorporate patient preferences? We need to consider patient preferences early and during every phase of product development. If we wait until the product is under clinical study, it is too late. We need to find ways to foster better collaboration among all stakeholders, including the FDA, by enhancing communication. The FDA can play a central role in educating about and communicating the roadmap for product development that meets regulatory requirements with transparency and involvement of all FDA expertise, including scientists, engineers, and clinicians. How do we streamline and clarify regulatory requirements for combination products? This will require enhanced coordination among FDA centers, such as devices and biologics, and with the FDA with speaking with one clear voice. On behalf of Dr. Murray Sheldon and my FDA colleagues, with special recognition of Dr. Carolyn Newland and Hema Gonzalez, both of whom have led the regulation of dialysis devices, I want to thank you for allowing us to talk with you today.